Hi, everyone. Welcome back once again to the Iconist podcast. I'm your host, or one of your hosts, Barry 3D, and I'm here with my cousin, Mr.
EJ Rod C.
Ooh. Boom! And on today, if you can tell by the title and what you see in the background, we're going to be talking about Marvel's Taskmaster. Before we go into that, we want to thank once again Jaybird Digital Arts for providing the template and all the artwork, our logo, and everything you see there. So thank you, Jaybird. You know, I want to do some shout outs. So shout out real quick once again to the my comedy troupe that I'm part of there with my boy Dave Sokolowski, Thomas Patrice, Zolf Ali, and myself, Barry 3D Carter. We go by A Touch of Gray. You can find videos that we drop multiple times throughout the week, 3-4 videos a weekly. Called A Touch of Gray Matter. That's our YouTube channel, Touch of Gray Matter. You can also find Touch of Gray on the Facebook page. I want to do another shout out to one of my boys, my mentor in comedy when I first started out, Paul Ash. He has his BattleCom, which is right up the alley with this show. So, I did one episode looking to go back and do more. So BattleCom with Paul Ash. He also does The Love Doctor. They talk funny, which is really great for anyone that loves comedy, wants to know more about comedy and see how comics go about their craft with writing and putting stuff together and getting to know people across the globe. So check out Paul Ash for sure. So if you want to find all the links plus the Iconist podcast, and going to audio very soon or it should be up by that point when this is out. I'll definitely say go to barry3d.com, barry3d.com, and you'll find all the links, all the social media for everyone I've mentioned, and you can like us, follow us, and please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Hit the notifications. We drop videos every Tuesday morning, and we have bonus videos that we'll put up once in a while on Thursdays. And last shout out, I would forget, is a good friend of mine. He goes by Jimmy English. He has his own podcast. I've been on there as a guest, I think 6-7 times, and still going. And it's called Beyond the Balcony. So look for the microphone with the red background. Join his podcast, and he talks about all movies before 1980 and prior. Very interesting, funny, insightful. Has different guests on there all the time. So please check him out. Jimmy English on Beyond the Balcony podcast. Look for the microphone on the red background. Once again, go to barry3d.com, find all of that. Rod, where can we find you, brethren?
Well, you can find me in a couple of places. You can definitely find me on Instagram at Mr. Rod C. Located there. You can also find me on Facebook at Mr. Rod C as well. True to Iconist page as well. But you can definitely find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/DJ Rod C. You can find me there playing often, having a lot of fun, interacting with a lot of people, just bringing up bring a new life to these times that we're in, and basically giving, people some live action, some live fun, some live music. So, hey, make sure you hit me up, follow. If you find me on there, please make sure you let me know you found me through, you're one of our Iconist crew. Greatly appreciate it. I'd love to, connect with you on that way as well. So listen, thank you for just chilling with us. Listen, we're going to have some fun today. Barry, what do we got for these guys? What we got for you? Okay,
so it's been cast. You've seen clips of it. But we're going to get right into Marvel Universe. So we're going the comic book version, the Taskmaster. Yeah, man. So when the Taskmaster first came out, he made his first appearance in Avengers 195 back in 1980. Yeah, so we're going way back. So I love that Marvel's bringing back all these characters, and he's probably a lesser known character. He will absolutely, I can guarantee, will transfer from pulp to, from book to movies or live really, really well. Yeah. Because of his abilities. Some abilities, you put them on paper and you could explain it, but when you see them in action, and just from the clips we saw from the Black Widow trailer,
twofold.
It's beautiful, man. He's, so, and what I mean by that, so let me just go back. So obviously fictional character created by Marvel Comics, created by the writer, David Michelin, and if I pronounce it right, me that name, sorry. I apologize now. And the artist was George Pérez. So George Pérez has been around for years from doing a lot of Marvel stuff. Beautiful run, on Avengers, even up to like a couple of years ago. He did one full run on the Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes. he's also done Teen Titans, and the Teen Titans that you're watching on HBO Max is heavily influenced by George Perez. He was, you know, and Marv Wolfman. So George Perez did that volume Teen Titans #1, where you had Robin, Starfire, Raven, Changeling, Cyborg, Kid Flash, you know, was that initial team. And he drew that, you know, I know definitely 26 issues. I think he did more than 26 issues on that particular run. And the thing with George Perez, as opposed to other artists, he likes putting a lot of characters in as a scene. So when you look at other artists, you know, you'll see their fight scenes and they'll have like maybe some background people. George Perez, if you can find it, he did a splash fight scene with the Avengers and had about 40 different people in one splash page fighting at once. And he loves that. And if you look when he does his run on Teen Titans, he does the same thing. He has the Titans as a splash page, you know. So, you know, for people not familiar, splash page is like 2 pages put together, and it's just one picture of art in the book, you know, picture like a centerfold. And he just draws, and there's so much detail in the background, other people fighting. So you'll see, you know, for example, there's one scene where the Titans are on a different planet, and you see Kid Flash, you see the after effect of Flash running by, and it's going all over the place, and he's punching out multiple people, and to the point you catch him in that stagnant moment. But George Perez has all that written while the time Starfire is blasting someone from, you know, the one page corner all the way down to the other page to hit him at a distance where they're Starbolt. So George Perez, really, really, you know, great. He just retired just recently. And you know, and George Perez, like myself, he's a Gemini. So these guys turn around and they put him together. So the bottom line with Taskmaster is he has what we call photographic reflexes. So he's able to watch something just once, and like photographic memory, he can recall that at will to do that action. And this is why I say he's got to transfer very well into film. You know, I know he's been cast. We're still going to give our things of who we'd like to see him play him, our version, who we'd like to see play him. No disrespect to the actor that's playing him right now, because he looks good in costume and he looks good on film, recreating the moments from what we've seen so far. So keep in mind, he's just normal strength and you know, peak athlete condition, as Marvel would classify him as. So, you know, he doesn't have extra, you know, but that alone, I mean, let's take away that. If you saw anybody do something and then you were able to do it, how crazy would that be?
Right. The equivalent of it is basically, you know, unbeknownst to, you know, anybody else there, you know, Barry and I back in the day, we used to dance and stuff like that. So when you're able to see someone and be able to copy their move and be able to like emulate it as best as possible, you know, you're trying your best, but you know deep in your heart, you're still a couple of moves off. You're a couple of steps off.
Yeah.
Taskmaster has the ability to see it. And when you really think about that, it's literally watching someone do something and realizing, well, they're doing it, and they know they're doing a move, and they're like, okay, this is a quarter punch versus a full punch, and he's doing this, and you know, he understands by watching someone how to manipulate that, like, okay, this is how I do from my way, my angle, and just clone it right down perfection. That's a very dangerous art. In reality, that's a very dangerous art.
Big time. Yeah. You know, when he showed up in the Avengers and they brought him in, and I mean, if you see, you know, for anyone that's watching, you can see the look that he has, right? So he's got the skull, like a white skull face mask. He's got a hood over it with a white cape, blue, and then it's a mishmash almost of different Avengers costumes. So he carries a shield, he carries a sword, he carries a bow, and he has all these together. And they updated the look at one point. So I like, you know, his original look was cool depending who draws it. He's got that kind of a fear factor part to it. But then the other thing is they updated that costume than what you're seeing in the new Black Widow trailer, which is based off a miniseries that came out a little while ago, where they kind of changed his costume, not the person, you know. And when I say deadly, man, I mean, okay, so let's give some scenarios. So when he was young, so they never really classify if he's a mutant or not. I would think it's a mutant ability because it just happened. Maybe he was, so that I don't know, you know, and they never really got more into it. And maybe if he did and I missed it, my apologies. Someone can correct me in the comments. Let me know either way. So as a young kid, he realized that if he saw someone do something, he can do it. So he was watching, he was born as Tony Masters, and they're not even sure if that's his real name or not, right? When he was a young kid, he was watching a cowboy show, a cowboy doing rope tricks. Oh, okay. He went outside. He started doing it right away. Perfectly, exactly how the guy did it to impress this girl he liked, and I'm talking, he was a young kid. He was like, maybe 8 or 9. As he got older, the more it came about. So he watched someone do some diving. He was watching like a diving competition. He was like, oh, okay. Watched it once. He went to the pool. My man did the dive perfectly. The super salts and hit the water. No splash, because the less splash you do, the better the dive was. He did it. He executed it exactly like how that Olympic athlete did it. Just watched it once, like for how long a dive takes, a couple of seconds. Problem was, he needs to have follow through. So he knew how to do the dive, but at the time he didn't know how to swim. Because he never watched anyone swimming. He never learned to swim himself, right? So these are where he realized that he had to put things together. Right. So in school, he used this ability to be the top of everything. He watched football. He went out and played football. He was the top of the of the league for his high school in football. He turned around and joined the gymnastics team because he watched the Olympic gymnastics do the pommel horse and tumbling and all. He went out and did it perfectly. Of course, he won ribbons. It came on everyone's radar. It was like, this guy is really physically fit to do all this stuff, and it carried on that way, so forth, to the point where S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of said, hey, they keep tabs on everybody. They see this guy showing up winning these competitions. Nick Fury must
we talk to you.
We want to talk to you, right? So he became a S.H.I.E.L.D. operative. How sick is that? So he's a S.H.I.E.L.D. operative. He meets this other girl named Mercedes. They fall in love. They get married. He's doing missions. And then on one particular mission he was sent on with his task force, he turned around and went to a castle in Berlin where they found out they were doing cloning experiments, cloning Adolf Hitler's brain. So all you see is a wall with a bunch of different brains that were cloned from Adolf Hitler. The scientist that was working on this suppression formula that he would be able to extract that DNA from that brain, put it into somebody different, inject them, and then Adolf Hitler would be born again in a different body, because you're taking the imprints and you're it's pretty much, control, alt, set, reboot, whatever you're doing on a computer. Update your iOS, update your Android firmware. He was pretty much updating human people. And he saw that. So, fight broke out, of course, ended up destroying the brains. Scientist got shot, couldn't save him, had the formula in his hand. But the thing is, he's very competitive. He always wants to be the best. He always wants to keep pushing himself. So he had the formula, and he decided to inject himself with that formula to boost his photographic reflexes. Downside, he starts to forget stuff. So he forgot he was married. Forgot who his wife was, even though they're both in S.H.I.E.L.D., and it's just, the more he was using his photographic reflexes, the little bit more he forgot on certain things. And that's how, his tale got a little bit tragic at that point.
Right.
So that's it. And I know I'm going over some stuff, but I'm just kind of keeping this really top view. I like the fact that when he retired from S.H.I.E.L.D., and this is where it made the character Taskmaster when he comes in. So he retires from S.H.I.E.L.D., he gets in there, he's at home, he's trying to figure out, because the last mission it went a certain way, I'm not sure if he quit S.H.I.E.L.D. or I think he quit S.H.I.E.L.D. He's home and he's thinking, what should I do with my abilities? With my abilities, I could be the world's #1 athlete. Right. But he found that boring. Right? So he's like, nope, there's no challenge in there for me. He turned around and said, well, maybe I could be a vigilante like Spider-Man and Daredevil. Looked at that and said, I don't like the payment plan. There's none.
The health plan sucks.
Health plan sucks. Payment plan, nothing. Then he's looking and he's seeing, the villains. And he's like, I could be a villain, right? And he's like, but once again, if I get punched in the face, there's no dental plan. Ooh, no, man. There's not enough money in there. There's not enough prestige. What can I? So he's sitting there and he's watching all these like superheroes. So he's seeing like Captain America, he's seeing Hawkeye, he's seeing Iron Fist. He's watching all of them, how they use their abilities, and he turns around and he's like, I know, aha, I'm going to teach henchmen that the villains can buy or rent from me and put it out there. So he turned around and he opened up his own business.
I'll say, I'm going to school you on how to be a villain or henchman. Sorry, school the henchmen to how to follow all the. You know what? When I read that and came across that, I was like, you know what? That's just business. That's just ingenious. That's ingenious. Like you said, I don't want to get hurt. I might hurt it myself. No, let's avoid that part of it. Let's avoid that part of it. How the payments? I can teach, and someone can pay me, and anything happens. Listen, I just taught them at it. Listen, because you led them down the left lane, that's all on you. I just told them to follow your lead. Still get my money, right? So,
you know, he's playing that's ODB.
He's playing safe.
Yeah, he's playing ODB. Hey, dirty, baby, I got your money. Don't you worry. Say hey. You know, it's like, pay me. You know, like a Godfather. F you, Paulie. Pay me. So that's to show you, or sorry, Goodfellas. That's to show you, like, Rod, like, just in your background, you have it, Taskmaster Institute, 1-800.
I know, I'm just like.
Yeah. Right?
Ew.
So you have 1-800-555-5.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I took this one. I'm like, that's hilarious.
Well, yes. So that's what he did. So he trained the henchmen for AIM, you know, Agency X, the Cabal, the Frightful Four, the Initiative, Secret Avengers, Shadow Initiative, you know, S.H.I.E.L.D, you know, and then all these other guys, right? So so he did the good guys too. Don't get it wrong. He did some, and I'll explain that. So he taught everybody everything,
right?
And got paid. So this is where he got put into the Avengers. So that is issued in Avengers 185. You know, he's turning around. Sorry, my apology. 195. In Avengers 195. The way they got the Avengers, he came on the Avengers radar is because he decided to do this. That's what he was doing. He was working with this other guy who was running the institute at the time, because he actually had an institute. So he was working out of an insane asylum for the insane asylum for the criminally insane. That's where it was hidden in. That was just the cover. That was the front. And he was teaching those guys in there to be, you know, good fighters, how to counteract when they had to fight Captain America, how to counter when they fought Daredevil, you know, teaching them all that stuff, you know, for all these street vigilantes.
That's a great business idea.
Right? Smart, because, you know, sometimes you can hire him out for a mercenary, but that's what he started off with. So the guy who was running the institute was an older gentleman. He had a heart attack, right? Wanted to live. So they turned around and they made a clone of that guy, you know, because he knew he had a bad heart. So he made a clone that was younger, and he wanted to harvest the organs from the younger guy, from the clone, into the original guy to give him. So he pretty much cloned himself, not Taskmaster, the other guy he was working with, Simon. You know, he made agreement to clone him, grow him till he was like a young man, and then take his 20-something-year-old heart and put it in the older guy, and then say, okay, discard the clone. So he was just going to harvest the organs.
Yep.
Evil. The clone turned around, realized he's a clone, realized what the plan was going to happen, realized he grew into his own person, ran, escaped from the institute. I'm out. You know, they're chasing him down. He went to Avengers, the Avengers compound. He got to talk to the Avengers. He explained what was going on. The Wasp, Ant-Man, all of them, you know, with Steve and all of them went in there to deal with it. And then they realized what was going on. They found this whole complex, and he had different schools all over the place teaching. So it wasn't just one location. Taskmaster got into a fight with all the Avengers, and they didn't know how to deal with them because it was like they were all fighting themselves.
Correct.
You know, no matter what you pull off, he saw you do it. Okay, he can do it. So Captain America throws his shield. Taskmaster can throw his shield because he studied him. You know, Captain America throws a punch. He can throw a punch. It was 1 for 1. He held his own. At one point, when he realized the only reason he was losing because he was outnumbered, but he held his own. So keep in mind, right? He doesn't have superhuman strength, doesn't have superhuman speed. He's just the peak athletic ability, physical ability for a human being, photographic reflexes, and he held off the Wasp, Ant-Man / Giant Man, Captain America, Hawkeye. He held all of them off easy. And when things were going, and I know there's other Avengers there, but when things were going wrong, he said, well, you know what? Smoke bomb. I'm out. Why get captured when I can go in one of my other schools and just keep training those guys?
Exactly.
He's
still getting paid somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm getting paid somewhere else.
Sometimes the villain escapes. Ha ha ha. No, he was smart saying, well, I tested myself. I proved that I, normal man here, can take on all these super soldier, giant, whatever, and I still held my own. Okay, my thing works. That goes on your resume. That's like a comedian, #myself, going and doing a corporate show with no foul language, no offensive material, and you still kill the audience with laughter and getting that recommendation saying, hey, you did a great job at our corporate event. Thank you. Here's a letter of recommendation. You can go to another corporate and say, I know you're worried about comedians saying something off color during a corporate event. Here's my letter of authenticity.
Exactly. He good.
Yes. So that's the beauty and mind frame of this guy. So, and even then he was seen more of a mercenary. I mean, yes, he came across as a villain, but he didn't really steal anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's to the point where he got hired by the American government.
Right.
After, when Captain America was no longer Captain America, when Steve Rogers stopped being Captain America, they brought in John Walker, right? Who was, he was a super patriot at one point and changed to Captain America, and then he went by U.S. Agent, as we seen in Falcon and Winter Soldier. In the comic book, it was Taskmaster that showed him how to throw the shield. He was hired by the American government to teach him how to throw the shield and fight exactly like Captain America, so no one would not realize that it wasn't Steve Rogers at first glance under the mask. Boom.
Listen, this is very interesting you say this and remind people about that, because this is a show where Taskmaster could come right back in. Although he's appearing in Black Widow, he's come back because who now has the shield? Who now needs some training? He got some sort of training per se from Bucky, but Bucky ain't Taskmaster.
No.
So this would be a perfect way comic run to bring him in.
Exactly. Bucky wasn't really there to show him how to do that. It was, this, keep in mind, this is way before Falcon and Winter Soldier storylines developed in the comic book. Mm-hmm. Right. So, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they advanced it and, they jiggle things around to make it go a certain way. Good on them. I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying the original run, the Pulp Fiction run, so to speak, on paper, it was Taskmaster that was hired by the American government to do it. And people are like, well, Barry, the government wouldn't do stuff like that. This is not a conspiracy theory, right? Let's look back in real life. Remember years ago, in the year 2000, when everyone was worried about Y2K, around that area. So they had that virus called the I Love You virus that was going on in everyone's computer to say, don't click on this. If you see a bug, an email saying I love you by so-and-so, don't click on it. Don't touch it, because it was that I love you virus, right? So the guy who created that was like a IT, programmer. And he was living out in the Philippines or Indonesia, one of places like that, in a small little place. He wanted to prove to the world how smart he was because he was having problems getting a job. So he was frustrated. So he made that I love you bug that went worldwide, that roped in, the FBI, the CIA, the RCMP, all these agencies around the world were trying to find how to stop it. They couldn't figure out how to stop it. Computer programmers were hired to make up firewalls to stop it, to save all the the computers that were used by the government, by me and you, for us using this and you watching. They tracked the guy down who created it, found him, arrested him, and then gave him a job.
Well, literally, we're definitely going through a sidebar, but that's exactly what happened. Trust me, the American government, they do that. Not even American government. All governments do that. When they realize someone can basically break into their own backyard, to safeguard ourselves, we need to keep you a close eye. Listen, you want a job? You want a job?
Yeah.
Come over here. Got a job for you. That's
Exactly.
exactly what it is.
Exactly. You know, if you want another example of that, watch the movie biopic called Now You See Me. Oh no, sorry. Catch Me If You Can. Catch Me If You Can.
Oh yeah, yes, yep.
Sorry, Catch Me If You Can
Exactly.
with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yep.
That's a true story. Also, parts of it were filmed in Toronto. That's a true story of him and, you know, of the guy he's portraying. And you see the real guy at the end of the movie, the actual person that Leo's portraying throughout the whole movie. And, you know, he went around and faked his identity. He faked to be a lawyer. He faked to be a doctor. He faked to be an airline pilot. And not just per se talking. He went in there and he did cases. He flew a plane. He did operations. He said he was a banker, an investment banker. He went all around the world faking for years, being chased, you know. And then when they finally caught him, it's like, okay, well, you know what? The FBI wants to understand how you came up with all of this. And they hired him. He got arrested, got convicted, found guilty, had to serve years in jail. And then they turned around and said, well, we'll dismiss the sentence if you come and work for us.
Yeah. Show up Monday morning at 9 o'clock.
Yeah. You went from being on the run for years of your life to now being paid by the American government. You got a job.
Hunting you down. Yeah.
Right? Can't beat them, join them.
Yeah.
Same thing with Taskmaster. Now, I'm not sure if they're going to do that with his appearance in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, how they're going to treat him that way. Don't know much about him. What I saw, I liked. You know, you see automatically he has the shield and he does that. He uses the shield like Captain America in the trailer. He does a couple of shots with very similar to what Hawkeye would do, you know, what we got in the trailer. You see he pulled off Black Panther's fighting style. You know, he crosses his hands, the claws come out on the fingertips, and he goes at it, you know, with the Russian version of the super soldier, right? Which we covered before. So he's got it. At one point, him and Black Canary, him and Black Widow, you know, are fighting, and she flips up from her back and lands in the superhero landing pose, one hand down, one hand out to the side, and he did the exact same thing at the same time, and it was like she looked at kind of and he was very calm.
Yeah. Anything else you got to show him? I'll keep it. Thank you.
Yeah. It's like, okay, what's next? Impress me. Because whatever you do, I want to learn and use against you. Deadly. He sat down just to learn how to fight and watch Bruce Lee movies.
Hilarious.
He knows Jeet Kune Do. He watches Kung Fu movies and Shaolin movies to learn fight styles. So when he grows up against certain guys, they're like, how do you know this? You know? If I had that power, man, let me tell you something. I'm watching. It's a
dangerous power to have.
I'm watching the 36 chambers of Shaolin. You understand that? If Wu-Tang Clan can be a rap group based off of Shaolin movies, then I can be a Shaolin master with his powers. You know? Jeez. Can't touch me, son. I'd be on fire.
Jokes. Yeah, but that's basically, I mean, in a nutshell, that's really what Taskmaster is. He just has the ability to clone, mimic, and just become the person that he's mimicking. And that's very ideal. So
yes,
he can infiltrate places like, you know, again, no one knows what he looks like underneath that mask. So he has the ability to, he can just don on if he needs to infiltrate someplace. I think I saw it somewhere that he did do that. He had to, where was it? Oh, I remember I saw it and I made sure I knew I put it somewhere. I can't remember at the exact moment right now, but there was a part that he basically had to infiltrate somewhere and he had to go against Warbird or meet up with Warbird. Right. And he basically they didn't realize who it was because he was able to portray the person he was trying to, just walk past him and just say, yeah, how you doing? Yep, America. Yeah, that's cool. Right. Yeah. Keep going.
Right.
Or anything along that line. But that's how I look at it. So, I mean, that's why he's like, they may say at the beginning that they don't know if this is a power. I would like to call it a power because to me, having that type of photographic reflex type of memory is very high and keen. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. You can't go wrong, man. You can't. That's it. And that's what I like about the cinematic universe, that they're bringing around these characters that are lesser known. Let's be fair. He's not an A-list villain. He's not your Osborn. He's not your Dr. Octopus.
I'm about to say Octopus. Yeah,
right. He's none of those guys that you would know when when I say A-list villains, you look at a hero, you always have to know about a rogues gallery, how the rogues gallery makes it, right? So if you mention Superman, people are going to say Lex Luthor, or Zod. You mention Batman, everyone says Joker. It's like a word association, right? You say Spider-Man, you hear Green Goblin, or his own memories about his guilt. I think his biggest villain for Spider-Man is his guilt.
Oh boy.
That's the villain for Spider-Man, his guilt. But all the time there's someone there that stands out, that's reoccurring. Daredevil is Kingpin. So Taskmaster,
he doesn't have anybody.
No, he doesn't have like a main hero. Like, I mean, he definitely was dealing with the Avengers a lot.
Yes. Well, go ahead.
He dealing with the Avengers a lot, and then he kind of not fell off with that. It's just because he went in different directions. So it was great, man.
Marvel utilizes him properly in the sense that he was a trainer and instructor for Henchmen. So again, he could be the center point for, like I said, AIM, all these other type of organizations that he has access to, and they have access to him, Hydra, and all that stuff. So basically, that just shows that he's not, in that sense, locked down to having just one particular villain.
Nope.
I mean, one particular superhero or group that he's in conflict or always conflicting with. So that's a great thing, that by putting him in that particular niche, he turned out to be that type of the go-to guy. And that's what I liked about Marvel. Marvel had the ability of understanding this. If you're going to do stuff, again, AIM interacted with Avengers, X-Men, I can't think off the top of my head. But I think Fantastic Four, you know what I mean? So at least the groups were able to branch off to different type of villains and superhero groups. Taskmaster is also one of those ones. So, like you said, you can't lock him down to say he was only the Avengers main villain, but he was able to be interacting with other ones. So that's good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, and if you want to find other things, he's shown up in the Marvel universe. He's shown up all over the place, more places than you think. So you really have to, if you're a casual fan, you're going to miss it. If you're a hardcore fan, you're going to definitely know where he's showing up. I like to fall in there. So he's shown up in, comic books, obviously, video games. He's shown up in TV shows. So just to give you an idea, like in film, okay, close, he's showing up in, so he was in, the direct-to-DVD movie, Avengers Confidential, Black Widow, and The Punisher. Taskmaster was there as a villain, part of the organization called Leviathan. He shows up in, Iron Man and Captain America, Heroes United, and he was voiced by Clancy Brown. So when you watch this video and you're thinking Clancy Brown, who's Clancy Brown? We talked about that. If you go back to a couple of our videos, watching, the whole Highlander reboot.
Yeah,
Clancy Brown, played Kurgan, the villain from Highlander. So he was voiced by that actor. I like that gravelly voice he has. Right? So he shows up there.
There's so much stuff for Clancy Brown. Like he's
everywhere, man.
He's there like Tara Strong. That's what he is like.
Yes. And in video games, okay, then he's shown up also, in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Fate of Two Worlds, and Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, voiced by Steve Bloom. He's shown up there. He's shown up in Marvel Avengers Alliance, Lego Marvel Superheroes, and the list goes on. So the character is there. What Marvel needs to do, in my opinion, is, because of this premiere, he's always been there in media one way or the other. He's got a nice toy figure, which I'll put the picture up also. That's a nice collectible figure with him in his newer costume. He's got, I think there's a sculpture out there with his classic costume, which looks really nice too. I got to research that. They have to use him like Deathstroke, not copy Deathstroke from DC, Deathstroke the Terminator. Deathstroke the Terminator started off pretty much as a Teen Titans villain. His first appearance, it was in issue 2, once again by George Perez, right? And Marv Wolfman. And he's more from just being a villain for the Titans to then being a villain for everybody when they did the Villains United storyline in DC.
Right.
He was like the second in command, pretty much, working under Luthor or working with Luthor. And everyone feared him, including Superman. Superman feared Deathstroke. Okay, that says a lot. If you think about that, to show you how, you know, on the level he is, that really put him on the map. And then they've more recently made him more like a Batman rogue villain, like part of his rogues gallery. So if you're watching any of the Batman DVD or directed, you know, DVD movies, right? So Batman and Damien, you know, Batman and Robin, you know, son of Batman, he's in there with his own storyline, and the box set comes with this cool figure. But I digress. So they got to really start. He's how Deathstroke did the Avengers. Sorry, Teen Titans. Taskmaster did the Avengers.
Yeah.
It was only time that he had to come in. He's got to be more utilized. He's got a great miniseries. It's hard to get. My brother, to show you, Brian went and he bought the miniseries. Poor Brian. Brian got issue number 1. Brian got issue number 2. And then Brian got issue number 4. Number 3 was impossible to find. Brian went all over. He was looking online. It was sold out. Brian had to come, like, you know, he came to visit me one time from Montreal here. This is way before way before COVID. I took him to a comic book store up here, and he found the issue. You know, at the comic book store we used to go to, their Wow Comics, you know, World of Wonder. Yeah. So shout out to them. They're out in Kitchener. Yeah. That World of Wonder Wow Comics out in Kitchener. 2 stories full, and prices are the best prices I've seen to get like back issues.
Very.
Yeah, so, you know, my boy Wes. So if you go up there, if you're in the area, you go and you see Wes, tell Wes you heard Barry and Rod said hi.
Yeah.
So I want to see him used more. That's the main thing. You know, he's got a cool backstory. And to continue with real quick, and we'll get into our parts. I mean, he's already cast, but to say who we like to see maybe behind him, the mask, is it ends off where, okay, I said before, he lost his memory. He's going on, and then he has this organization. He works for the org, and they call and they give him missions. And the missions, you find out, it's like, okay, we need you to get intel from here. We need you to infiltrate here. And he gets these missions. He doesn't remember anything. Like at one point, his memory loss got so bad, he forgot who he was himself. He forgot his own identity. So the person keeps calling him. He keeps getting these missions. He goes about it. And at one point, they do a cut scene, you know, in the comic book, and you see that he's getting missions from this woman, and the woman he's getting missions from is his wife, Mercedes, who's still with S.H.I.E.L.D. So they're sending him on missions to get information that she's still going and running to the higher ups within S.H.I.E.L.D. Right? But he never knows that's his wife. So it'd be nice to see if they're ever going to give him back his memory, or they're going to just leave him that way. Yeah, that's my 2 cents there. So a lot of meat on this whole scenario to use.
Definitely. So let's get to that part, B. Who? Like, you know, like we said, we already know it's been cast. We know Marvel, they already have him out there through Black Widow and everything in that regard. Who would you? Let me ask you. Who would you be having as your cast for him?
Very simple, man. Scott Adkins. Scott Adkins was in the Expendables when Jean-Claude Van Damme was there. He was his right-hand man. Scott Adkins is in a movie called Way of the Ninja 2. Scott Adkins, you know, he's got a lot of movies. If you look up his name, you'll see a lot of his movies that he does that go, like, you know, on Netflix and so forth like that.
Yeah.
Scott
He was
Adkins,
in Doctor Strange. He was in Doctor Strange as well.
Thank you. That's what I was going to say. There's a scene in Doctor Strange where Doctor Strange is in the hospital and his astral form comes out of his body, and he's talking to, Rachel McAdams' character, the nurse.
Yeah, the nurse.
And just then, some guy comes out in another astral form and clocks him. Pop, pop, pop. That's Scott Adkins. If you don't know, you're going to learn today. Scott Adkins is the man. He's got the look. He's definitely well versed in martial arts. Scott Adkins. You want a good martial arts, action movie? You watch a Scott Adkins movie. He has his own YouTube channel. He's interviewing other martial artists. You would recognize him from Undisputed. So you had the Undisputed movie with Ving Rhames and Wesley Snipes, right? And Michael J. White. So they were in the first and second one. So the first one had Wesley Snipes and Ving Rhames. The second one brought in Michael J. White, right? The guy he's fighting in the second one is Scott Adkins. And then when you go into Undisputed 3, it's just Scott Adkins, and then they did Undisputed 4, Boyka. Scott Adkins. If you want to see what this man can do, you watch Undisputed 2, 3, and Undisputed 4, Boyka. You watch these movies, and let me tell you, if you want to see someone who can fight and then mimic the moves and believable that he can whoop ass, Scott Adkins. Done. I know he's been cast, but Scott Adkins, I know he had that small role in Doctor Strange, and it's a shame because they should have used him for this. So I'm going to tag Scott Adkins and tell him to talk to his manager and get back in there. Scott Adkins. I mean, if they're not using him for something, he's got to be used for something else. He's not opposed to superhero movies. Watch Undisputed 2, 3, and 4. Scott Adkins. Did I say Scott Adkins?
You might have mentioned his name, Scott Adkins. I'm not too sure.
Right. Let me try that. Scott S.C.O.T.T. Adkins. A as in Adam. D as in David. K as in kite. I. N as in Nancy. S. Scott Adkins. That Scott Adkins. Damn.
Okay. So, well, you done threw a full monkey toolbox at me because what's Scott Adkins do? You see my face skinning up like, I'm gonna let him finish. I don't say nothing. And I'm like thinking, who else can I do now? Who's my backup? I didn't have a backup because I was thinking, there's no way this guy's gonna pull this guy out here. But it's all right. So this could be a very rarity that we actually have both the same people. That's why I jumped in and saying, well, he was in Doctor Strange. I wanted to see if you picked up. How did you know that already? Yeah, because I was kind of scoping out and going back to that same scene. But it's all right. No, it's cool. It's cool. It all makes sense. At least we can see we're in tune. We're fine. We understand.
Strong bloodline. Strong bloodline. Right? Let's just put it this way. Okay,
we know quality when we see it. We know quality when we see it.
Thank you. Okay, so this is a rare moment. So first of all,
very rare.
Very rare. So if you've ever been watching this show prior to this episode, and if you caught us on the old ones and you talk to us, and you see, we always try to come up with who we think should play the character, but we never tell each other who we're talking about. We don't even hint at it. When we talk during the week, we hold on to it like Golem with the ring. My precious.
Completely.
And this is the first time.
That's what I'm thinking. This is either the first time or very long and like third and 7 blue moons before, if anything. Yeah, I think this might be the first time that we've actually had this happen. And I'm like, that's hilarious.
First time. On the Iconis podcast, Barry Carter, Roderick Carter have agreed and picked out the same one person. All right, so you know what? I know this is who you're going with. What were your points for picking Scott? Let's hear your points for picking Scott.
Listen, let me go back to because definitely we're gonna say, we're gonna talk about Hard Target because he was in Hard Target. He was in he has that grit type of feel. Expandables, he's in there again. And when he was in there, he can just see like, okay, you know what, you can take a beating. You know how to that's the best way of saying you're a soldier. So I was going from that aspect, and I saw that like thinking, okay, well, what about Scott? Let me see. And then the undisputed ones, you've clearly said it, so I can't even really go over that because that was just basically it's self-explanatory on that end.
Right.
But the aspect of having the martial arts, but he's reflecting off of the S.H.I.E.L.D. days of being a soldier, being I know my benefit, I know my strength, and I know what I can do and what I can bring to a table. These are things you can see from him. Like even he was even in a weapon in Wolverine weapon 11. So I was like trying to remember which. I'm not seeing it. I'm trying to remember which one that was. But I'm like, when I can't remember. So I was gonna even mention it to you now. Like if you remember where he was in Wolverine, because
honestly, I don't remember that. I know I must have seen it and I must have jumped for joy,
yeah.
but you know, he skims on the surface with Marvel. And come on, this, I mean, okay, they got who they got, and I'm not disrespecting that, but I would have liked to see Scott Adkins. Scott Adkins in this role, and if you would have made him recurring on different things, what? As you put it the other day, you would have got five across the eyes. People would have got 5 fingers across the eyes. Oh, wrapped. The rapture. Like, you saw him in Doctor Strange and it was very small. I'm like, man, I don't care if you guys got to give me something. You got soul gems and brought in another person from a different galaxy. Scott Adkins is the man.
It's the thing. So
as PG as I can say it.
So that's where I was going to go. That's where I was going to go with that. But I mean, I'm glad that we've actually came up with the same result. That means we know quality. We know a good person when we see him. And again, having the martial arts type of chops, undisputed answers there. If you want to say, yeah, he may have touched Marvel per se to being Lucian, but he was really more of a non-speaking role.
Yeah,
I don't recall him speaking. If he did, it must have been a very, very small lines, if anything.
It was very small. Nothing significant.
Nothing.
Just to give Bennett, Doctor Strange the beats. He was there just to give him 5 across the eyes.
That's exactly it.
So that was his only role. Give him 5 across the eyes.
So yeah, listen. Yeah, this is it. Listen, keep going. I just got to put you on mute for one quick second. I got the youth here just trying to get my attention for the past 3 minutes. So it's like, keep going. I'll be right back. Everybody, keep going with Barry. I'll be right back. Right
on.
2 seconds.
It's okay, man. We can edit this, man. Scott Adkins. See, not only are we comic book enthusiasts, we're also fathers. And sometimes one half that comes before the other. So fatherhood is always first. Comic passion is always second. We do what we have to do. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what it is, being a responsible man.
Yeah. So we got a question I'll be answering right after we get off this call. But yeah, there we go. It's all good. It's all good. But no, in reality, everyone, listen. Scott Adkins is a great choice. The great thing about it. I look at it this way: he's already under Marvel's radar.
Yes.
So it's not a far fetch, and we know it's possible, and we know we've had characters who may have been as a second or third string in a movie, who may have come back into that same environment as someone higher. So
yes,
and it's not even to dispute his role as being in Doctor Strange and how that was great. It got him into the door. He can now come back through this other door as a Taskmaster, and it will make sense. So yes, I would say yes. Listen this off to Scott. So Scott, you get your manager on the phone. Tell him he needs to call back somebody. Quick.
Yes, Scott.
Quick.
Yes.
You got 2 years, brother. You got 2 years. You got a year to get yourself in there, 1 year to do the filming. So we'll see you in 2023. We expect to film somewhere. I'm giving him that. But I'm giving him now that he's going to get time, get all that stuff figured out, get signed, whatever movie they got set up for next year, he slip himself in there, and then all oxen free. This man's up on 2023.
Right on. I just want to see him in a recurring cool role. Scott Adkins. We both do. So
if he gets a Taskmaster role, that's a reoccurring, because basically you can now put him into, again, training, because it's funny, if you going back to what we said earlier, his particular job, Taskmaster's job as training henchmen and stuff like that, if you really think about that, You don't see that. You don't hear about that often. But
Nope.
someone has to be training these henchmen. Someone has to be, all these big villains got to say, I need henchmen. Who do I call? I must have my speed dial on at least 4 or 5, or at least 2 or 3 different people I can call, have a phone come up, and then off the over their shoulder look, Taskmaster. Let me call Taskmaster. Let me see what TM got for me today.
That's right.
TM, listen, I need about 20 people. I got something going down in about a month. I need some guys. This is basically the plan. Could you supply it? I got you. All right, thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, I'll send you the money. Quick.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Exactly.
That's it.
They go on the dark web, right? They look up Taskmaster. They have a conversation. It's like, who are you? Okay, well, I'm villain so-and-so. I plan on pulling off this big heist in New York. Now, we knew New York is very heavily based with superheroes all over the place. I plan on aiming this time. Who's been on my tail, though, and hounding me for the past couple of months is Daredevil. Who do you got that I can deal with, that can handle Daredevil? Daredevil? No problem. I have someone here that can definitely handle that. How many guys do you need? Well, I'd like to have 50, but my budget only says I can have 30. I'll send you 25 of my top tier guys, but for the price of 30. Okay, I'll take it. By the way, you cover dental. Okay, I'll cover dental. You cover dental. All right, and then it's on, and he sends over these guys, and it's like, yeah, man, you need someone to handle fight Daredevil? Yeah, no problem. Okay, so we know that he operates out of Hell's Kitchen. You're pulling this heist in Hell's Kitchen? Yeah, I'm pulling it in Hell's Kitchen. All right, man, so most of the time he comes out at night for some reason. He doesn't really run around too much during the day. So here's how it's going to go. Yeah, don't do anything near a courthouse. Don't do anything near a church. Don't do anything near a homeless shelter, because Daredevil seems to kind of patrol around that. And for some reason, he always keeps going to this one place where it used to be an old boxing ring training facility. We don't go anywhere around there. Oh, and by the way, stay away from the sewers, because sometimes he's against the hand, sometimes he's with the hand, and it seems that ninjas come from the sewers. Let's just
that's another department again. You have Taskmaster, you have the hand. Listen, who are supplying these people? We need to have somewhere some kind of representation in the Marvel universe. Like you brought up the hand. That's perfect. Listen, when Daredevil. Anyway, let's not even. That's a whole nother.
That's another episode. We'll get into that. So we'll end this one off here.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, thank you for tuning in on the Iconist podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Barry 3D for Deep Dark Delicious. Hey.
And I go by the one they call DJ Rod C. Now that Matt brought in the hand, now I got to start thinking about the hand, the right hand, the left hand, 5 across the eye. Braps! Brap! And that's it. People are getting handed down licks, handed down licks.
Yeah, exactly. Either the hand clan or the foot clan, whatever it is. So we'll leave you on this. Thank you. Turtle, exactly. There's so much to talk about. Thank you for jumping on, watching this video, supporting it. If you're able to chance to help the channel grow, please check out our link on Coffee and, help us keep this channel growing. You can find all our links at barry3d.com. Once again, this is the Iconist podcast. Like, subscribe, share, and I'd like to say, remember, all you need is a pencil, a piece of paper, and imagination. This is how this world started that we're talking about today. Keep dreaming.
Bam. We're out of here, people. It's all about the hands. The hands. The hands. Taskmaster, who are we? Taskmaster.
Oh, you don't
Okay, I'm done. Mouth. I mean, cut the show quick, man. I'm going to another tirade. Mouth. Peace.